Welcome to Sliver and Bite TV. Today we're making naan. I can teach you how to create this 500-year-old recipe. If you would like to see the condensed version of this recipe, click the banner above now or search naan in Sliver and Bite TV's search bar. Add your dry active yeast to warm water. Make sure the water is above 40 degrees Celsius and you'll leave that to the side covered with a tea towel for 10 minutes for the yeast to activate. Now that that's done, give it a little stir and then you can add in your tempered milk and room temperature yogurt. Give that a little mix and leave to the side while you get the rest of your wet ingredients ready. We're going to get 1 egg, also room temperature, and we're going to slowly add in 2 tablespoons of ghee. You can purchase ghee straight from the grocery store, however, it's just as easy to make. Take a look at the description below on how to make ghee. You'll want the ghee to be just slightly above room temperature because when you pour it into your egg mixture, you don't want to cook the egg. Whisk together your egg and your ghee, ready to add to the dry ingredients. In a large bowl, you have your flour, and I'm just adding in the sugar now. Giving that a mix and forming a little well in the center of the bowl. You can now pour in the egg and ghee mixture, making sure you're scraping out the excess out of the ramekin. And now grabbing the yeast and water mixture and pouring that in slowly as you're mixing. Make sure you get everything out of the pitcher, and now you can start mixing in the flour to the wet mixture. The mixture will be quite moist, and that's okay. If it is too moist, you can add a touch more flour. Adding in 1 teaspoon of salt and giving it a final mix. You'll see that I'm using a smaller spatula to wipe down the larger spatula, just to make sure all of the ingredients are incorporated. You'll notice that I turn the spatula over to scrape down the sides of the bowl. This is such a great tool to have in your arsenal, so head to the links below to purchase your own loyal spatula. Covering that with cling film and putting into a warm environment, ideally above 30 degrees Celsius. Preparing the garlic now. Instead of mincing it, I'm going to grate it finely because that will enable more of the aromatics to go through the ghee. You can now put the grated garlic into the ghee and give that a good mix, and then you'll be able to baste that either onto the griddle or onto the bread itself. This is a look at the rise half an hour into the proofing, and this is an hour into the proofing. At this stage, you're good to go. Otherwise, if it really hasn't risen a great deal, you can leave it there for another half an hour, a total of an hour and a half. I'm preparing the baking tray by just lightly dusting it with flour, and now flouring my bench, ready to dump out the dough. You can see that the dough is still quite moist. If it is too moist to touch, you can massage through some additional flour. The dough being this sticky assists in that elastic texture that you get with traditional naan. Put a bit of flour over the top of it to prevent getting too much stuck to your fingers, but as you can see, it's actually quite sticky. So you're going to do a couple of stretch and pulls, and then you'll see that I get my bench scraper to assist me in working the dough, and have that sieve with flour handy, ready to dust over. You'll see that in my right hand, using that bench scraper assists in lifting it and massaging through a little more flour. Once you've formed your dough into a log, you're able to set that to the side and start cutting off little mounds of it and creating little dough balls. As you can see, cutting it off and then pinching it like a dumpling, flipping it over, and using the inside of the palm of the side of your hand to create a little bit of a seam. Just working on my last dough ball now. Going on to the baking tray. Covered with a tea towel and put into that warm environment again for 15 minutes. Time to turn on the griddle now. You're going to want this quite warm, so as high as you can. You will see smoke coming off of it. If you're working with cast iron, it's okay to have it quite hot. However, you may need to regulate the heat if you're using a standard fry pan. I'm lightly oiling the griddle with some vegetable oil, and I've retrieved the dough balls from the warm environment. Dusting down the bench top, and I'm going to add a little more flour over the top so that the rolling pin doesn't stick to the dough ball. and just flattening that out to the desired size that you're after. However, I wouldn't go any thicker than 1.5 centimeters or half an inch. I'm just turning around behind me to turn up the griddle to full heat and placing that bit of dough flat onto the griddle. It'll be here for roughly a minute, but as you can see, I will lift it up to see the color. And if you're starting to see a little bit of charring, that's perfect. Time to flip. As you can see here, it's only a golden brown. So I'm going to wait just a little bit longer. Also be mindful, obviously, where the direct heat source is coming, as that will char much quicker. So you may want to move the naan around the griddle just to get an even cook. We're looking near on perfect there, so I'm going to flip. Just speeding it up a little bit there for you so you don't need to sit through the full minute. As you can see, when I flip it over, you'll see where the bubbling occurred. And I'm also going to add in just a little of the vegetable oil to finish it off on the other side. As you can see, there's a bit of steam and smoke coming off of that griddle now. That's ideally where you want it, because once you put it on, it's got that instant sear, which is synonymous with the taste of the naan. Get ready for a little time lapse. You'll see the bubbling occurring right before your eyes. And before I flip it this time, I wiped it down with some vegetable oil. As you can see, I've swapped out the vegetable oil for the ghee and garlic mixture. I tend to do this towards the end of the cook because what you'll see is a lot of the garlic burning, and I'd prefer not to have that taste throughout the full cook. But towards the end, a-okay. You'll also see that I've wiped the ghee over the top of the reverse side before flipping it. Oh my, that looks absolutely gorgeous. So now, adding it to my mound of naan and wiping on some of that ghee and garlic mixture. And then sprinkling a few sesame seeds on, but you can definitely change that up for nigella seeds and some coriander. Thanks for cooking with me. Hope to see you soon. Don't forget to check out the rest of Sliver and Bite's recipes right here on YouTube.